I might even have a different meteorological hat too, because I don't want to start off with our forecast. I'm going to get to it too, but really hour by hour through this morning, it has been a rough meteorological ride trying to really decipher what exactly is going on. But first, I want to give us our hurricane season progress report. So far this season, Gabrielle is a major hurricane, still the northern Atlantic, no bother to anyone. But the report is we've had 7 named storms. There is a good chance that we move this number to 9 named storms by the end of the week into the weekend, because we have a major development of what's happening over in the tropics. They don't have technical names, but they all are called Invest 93L and Invest 94L. We've had 2 hurricanes, which is actually behind schedule. We usually have 4 up through this date, but major hurricanes, since Gabrielle officially became a major hurricane yesterday morning, well, that's on par for what we usually have. And we'll see what these 2 systems are going to do. So first off, the next names on the list are Umberto and Imelda. There's a good chance that Umberto for sure is going to be named, but here it is. You now have a 90% chance for development for that area of red. So that's a little bit more defined. Meanwhile, you have that secondary wave has a 60% chance over the next 3 to 7 days to become at least a bottom line tropical depression. I was looking at different charts and graphs. I don't have that able to show you right now, but both of them are trending to at least become tropical storms and maybe even a low-end hurricane. But more so the area of red, better chance of a hurricane. The other one has a lot more uphill battle. But the area of orange is one that we have to watch a little bit closer. This is a really unique setup because you have these 2 that are really butting into each other. So here it is. Let me go through it. This right here is 93L and 94L. So a quick little lesson here. In the Atlantic, when there's investigations, it ranges from 90 to 99L. The L represents Atlantic. They also have other abbreviations for in E, meaning the Eastern Pacific, just for an example. But this is showing, and once it gets to 99, by the way, it goes back to 90. So these are the next 2 investigations up. So the first one, 93L, is the one to the far right. There you can see it moving to the west-northwest at about 16 miles per hour. It has winds at 25. It needs to get up to 39 for it to become a tropical storm, and it also needs a solid center of circulation. Meanwhile, 94 is a little bit stronger. We have 30 mile per hour winds, and it's moving due west at 18 miles per hour, so that's cooking. But it's going to be moving directly over the Lesser Antilles, over through Puerto Rico, just as a strong coastal low. It needs open water for it to really form into something, so it's going to take its time. So oftentimes we show you what's called spaghetti plots. When you first start an investigation, the models haven't had enough ample time to really run through all the simulations, through what potentially could be happening, the atmospheric conditions, and so on and so on. So we have very few lines, and they're also all over the place. So I'm just giving you the very first look that honestly is not very helpful, but it kind of shows the discrepancy that we have here. You have a little bit more defined time in the area of red just because that's been an investigation longer. Literally the 94L that you see at the top of your screen, the 8 a.m. advisory first deemed that as at least an investigated area. But the cause of concern that I have is that, one, that area of red, 93L, is trending further west, and it also, oh, look at that. That's a brand new spaghetti plot just came in. But it looks like it's going to move just west of Bermuda. But since it's just west of Bermuda, that would put it on the dirty side of the storm. So even though it does look like it's going to go past Bermuda and curl back out to sea, very similar to what you see for Gabrielle, which, by the way, here I can move things around. This is the spaghetti plots for Gabrielle. So once the storm gets more defined, especially once it's named, we're going to have a lot more of these lines and models that are going to go through it, but you don't really have too much for the time being. But it does look like, in general, we're going to be guiding that. Oh, hold on. Let's get back. Let's get back. What are you doing? Come on. You're ruining my momentum over here. All right. Let's get back. Okay. So right here, I want to draw some arrows on here to show you just in general where I think that things are going to be pushing. Again, take this with a grain of salt. So right now, it does look like this first investigation, I think that's the best chance of becoming Umberto, is going to start to move up. It's tough to see on my tinier screen, but it's going to, oh, geez, hold on. It's going to generally do this. So it looks like it could still impact the Bermuda at this point, but it does look to curve back out to sea. Now, the problem with this other wave is it looks like some models are pulling it directly west, while others are bringing it right in the middle of this cone. But then there are also some saying that, hey, this other low could interact with it. So there's still so many what ifs. But whenever you have two storms right near each other, and this isn't absolutely going to happen, but it's called the Fujiwara effect. I mentioned this briefly, but sometimes when you have two storms within each other, they can start to pivot around the same center, and they can start to really guide each other around. Now, the worst case scenario is that the first low that we saw there in the orange is going to drag in, I think, the stronger one into the Carolinas. But it does look like, in general, that it could help it maybe pull it back out. So I want to show you the surface map that I showed about where our forecast is going and how these two could affect it. So I wanted to show you that first, just because that's the very first information that we have with these two waves. Just, again, a lot of speculation, because this is the beginning of the game. This is at the very beginning of any sort of information that we even have. This is the first day that they're even calling it an investigation, which is step one. Step two is going to be potentially moving into a depression, then tropical storm, then hurricane, depending on what it does. But what's happening for the near term for us, we're going to see widespread rain starting to move in really by, I would say, late Thursday night, and into Friday. And when I say us, I'm talking about Charlotte. You in the mountains potentially could see this a whole lot earlier, and I will show you that on our future cast in a little bit. But what's going to happen for the long term is that cold front passes on Friday morning. So it could be a rough Friday morning commute. Just kind of keep that in mind. Up to an inch plus of rain looks to be the norm. But what happens is that if we didn't have those two tropical systems out in the ocean, this front would continue pushing east. We would have a beautiful high pressure system bring in some beautiful, dry, fall-like air. But the tropics says no, no, no. Because instead what we have is almost an atmospheric traffic jam. As long as you have these two lows, these two potential tropical systems heading generally towards the northwest, that's going to lock that front right along the coast. So one, that is going to keep bad beach conditions as far as rip currents are concerned. So this is not going to be good beach days. Luckily, the summertime is over for at least the peak of the season. But this front looks like it's going to linger there. And it's also going to interact with another low pressure system. So that keeps rain around for your Saturday. Here's where things get a little iffy. It's all depending on what these two systems are going to do. One scenario is that that big L that you see there could become either tropical depression 10 or 11, or we're talking about tropical storm Umberto or Imelda. More so Imelda looks to be the possibility. But if that moves into the Carolinas, we could be talking about a landfall, also a slow-moving system just in general. So it's still a lot of big questions. Just wanted to kind of say for the long term, there it is. But definitely have the umbrella Thursday into Friday.